Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to a video where I talk about the adaptations that I am never going to read. Some of these I've seen, some of these I haven't, but I just know that they're not going to be the books for me if I ended up picking them up, so that is why I'm kind of writing them off. Let's get into my list. I've talked about the first couple before, so I'm just going to breeze right through them. The first one is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and this is by Becky Albertalli, and this is a young adult drama book about a boy who is gay and not out yet to any of his friends, family, or even his school, and he gets blackmailed by somebody while he's in this emailing relationship with an anonymous guy named Blue. And Blue posts to the school's social media site as Blue, which is an alias, and outs himself as being gay. And Simon has attached himself to that and emailed Blue as Jacques, who is obviously an alias for him. Nobody knows it's him, and somebody threatens to leak all his emails. And so I liked the film. I did not like the friends in the film. I think they could have been done a lot better, but I did like the film for what it was. I've seen it more than once. I'm not going to read the book. I just don't like that kind of thing in a book. I like picking up queer books when the friends are very strong, and in this case the friends did not seem very strong. So for that reason, and the fact that I'm not usually into young adult drama, is why I'm not picking up Simonverse. Up next are two more young adult ones, and like Simonverse, I enjoyed these as films, but I'm never going to read the book. These are To All the Boys I've Loved Before and also Dumplin'. And so the first one is by Jenny Han, the second one is by Julie Murphy. These are lovely adaptations, but again, they just hit the right note when it comes to a rom-com adaptation that personally I like consuming visually, but as a book, I'm just not up to that same standard. I prefer something a little bit different. I also prefer something a little bit older. Now that I'm in my late 20s, I like narrators who have some kind of self-awareness, and again, they don't have as toxic friends. And the high school dynamic doesn't really apply to me as much anymore, even though I might enjoy it as a film. It has to be done all right for me to enjoy it as a film. So those are reasons that I'm not going to pick up these books. After those three, which is like almost the holy trinity of young adult adaptations, is actually another very classic adaptation that might have people just wanting me to delete my channel, but I don't really read classics, so this shouldn't really be a surprise. And this is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I'm really not a classics person. I'm not a drama and romance person. I like that in books if it has other stuff in it as well, but because it is just historical drama, romance, and yes, friendships and family as well, it's just not my thing. It's not for me. It just bores me, and I've tried watching it. I've tried reading it. I had to read it for literature class, which is not a great indication of whether you'll enjoy something, but I have consumed the writing style and it is just not a thing that I can get on board with. So even though I want to be able to say, hey, I like classics, it just doesn't work for me. So Pride and Prejudice is unfortunately on this list as well, and I'm probably going to live to regret that sentence. After those is Bird Box, and I actually don't know who the author of this book is. I do know that it was on Netflix and I have not bothered to watch it, but I also know that it's got a sequel, and apparently it all wraps up in one book. So I don't see the point of having a sequel when things are wrapped up. But anyway, I'm not going to read Bird Box. I'm probably not going to watch the adaptation. It's just not something that, again, is really up my alley. I would probably watch it maybe on a rainy day if someone coerced me into watching it, but again, it's not something I naturally gravitate to. I could probably enjoy it, to be fair, as an adaptation, but I'm never going to enjoy it as a physical book. It's just not something that I read. I like it when there is magic, and I like it when there are swords and monsters and dragons and magic, and this is just not a book that has those things in it. It also, I imagine, doesn't have space travel in it, and it might have a dystopian aspect, which is cool and definitely up my alley, but it's just not enough for me to be obsessed with a book. I did like A Quiet Place as a film, so maybe I would like Bird Box as a film, but again, just not as a physical book, unfortunately. I'm saying unfortunately a lot in this video. Next is another depressing one, and that is Pet Sematary. I did like It, the most recent adaptation of It by Stephen King, and I think that is one of the only Stephen King adaptations I have seen and that I want to see. And I've heard that Pet Sematary is quite morose, and I don't really want a film that's going to leave me sad, so I don't think it's going to be one that I actively watch or read. Stephen King's just not an author that I gravitate to. He's not an author that I'm actively interested in either, and that is also probably why Carrie is on this list too. It's kind of like Matilda if she was evil, and I really liked Matilda, but I just don't think that I'm ever going to pick up Carrie. If I did, it would probably be the only Stephen King that I read aside from It, because I did listen to that audiobook, and Carrie I know is quite short. I'm not getting anyone's hopes up though. I know people have a plethora of Stephen King books, the same way I have a plethora of Brandon Sanderson books, but it's just not something that I'm keen on. I like magic, I like supernatural, I love urban fantasy, but Stephen King's take is just, I don't know, it's not for me. It's not for me. And now we have two left. I've talked about one of them before, I believe, and that is The Martian by Andy Weir. Again, I've seen this film and I feel like the film had the right amount of charisma, information, and acting and character in order to convey the plot of The Martian to me. And I don't think I would get much benefit from reading the book, even though I think I'd probably enjoy the book. I've heard that it's very informational, and the movie itself was very informational too, but it had it in a more digestible format for the everyday audience to consume. And I think if I was more well versed in the sci-fi genre when it came to reading a lot more detailed work, because I'm only just getting into sci-fi now, I don't think that The Martian would quite hit that satisfactory level for me in terms of enjoyment factor. I think it would be about a 3 or 4, and I'd want it to be a 5 because I really enjoyed the charisma of the movie, and I don't think the book could match that. It's one that I've eyed off and I'm generally interested in it, but I also have no motivation to go and pick it up, if that also makes sense. I lied, I actually have 2 more now. So the next one is The Princess Bride, and I had this book for ages and I adore this movie. I adore it so much, but I've tried reading the book at least twice, if not more. I haven't talked about trying to read it that many times, but off camera I have tried and I can't get into it. I like the format in the film where it flips back and forth to the grandpa telling the story to his grandson in bed, and it's of the Princess Bride, and so we get to go back into the movie and see the swashbuckling and the romance and the characters. I love that format because it's very visual, but when it comes to the book, it just felt very info-dumpy and very slow paced, and so the movie built up that tension and the characters, and the pace was very quick and easy to consume. So I'm not going to read the book because I've tried and it's just not for me, so I've unhauled it, but I will go back and rewatch the movie because it is one of my favorite movies ever. And now finally, we are on the last one, and that is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. This is a story that very much mirrors Narnia in the sense that there is a magical doorway, like a portal universe, to a school where you can learn magic, except it's more like a university or a college than it is a high school or a school. And so this character is very intellectual and very academic, and he's learning magic that way. But I got through the first third of the book, and I know that it's also a series, but I got through the first third of the book and it just felt very scholarly to me. And as somebody who had just finished at the time writing a literary thesis of 16,000 words worth of literary analysis, and I picked up The Magicians, I was like, I can't compute, I can't do this. So maybe in the future I'll pick up the audiobook, but the goal of this video is not to set my expectations, it's to cut them off. So I'm not going to read the rest of these books, I'm not going to finish the first book, and I'm likely not going to watch the show. I've heard that it's okay, but if it's not going to be amazing all the way through, I've heard recommendations to stop at particular seasons or not watch particular episodes, and I just can't deal with that inconsistency. So The Magicians is another one that is going to remain on this list and get booted off my TBR, but that's just the way it is. So that's it for the adaptations that I am never going to read the books for. Let me know if you've got any down below. As always, I would love to chat to you, but again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll chat to you down below and I will see you in my next video. Bye.